What's up, YouTube? I'm Rusty, and thanks for hitting that play button, listening to me ramble. Today's going to be a kind of an elaboration on my last video on perception, so if you haven't seen that video yet, I will link it in the description below. You might want to check that out. Today I'm going to be going over something a little different. Maybe you know this, maybe you don't. I'm going to bring up bread. Odd subject, I know. But more importantly, we're going to talk about the flour. If you backtrack a little bit and we look at history, well, we've heard the prayer, "Give us this day our daily bread." Part of the reason that was a saying even was they had to bake bread every day or it would go bad. Eventually, we figured out that by removing the oils of the flour would last longer and our bread didn't go bad quite so quickly. On the flip side of that, removing the oil removes many of the nutrients that are in the flour and therefore in the bread. So I suppose whether or not that was a good idea or is a good idea, perception. One thing I'd like to point out on that is most people may not understand that that's what bleached flour is. Bleached flour is the oils removed. If you don't know that, it's not necessarily perception because you didn't know. But again, that's the importance of perception and knowing both sides of the story. When you go to the store, do you buy bleached flour or not? I guess that's up to you. But if you didn't know both sides, again, you see the importance of understanding. And that's ultimately what I'm trying to get people to understand, is that if you only know one side, of course you're going to see the benefits of that side. But you also need to know both sides. As I mentioned before, I have a little clip. I'm gonna play this clip for you, and honestly, I just want you to give it a little thought while you're listening to it, and I'll see you again in a moment.
Mr. Reynolds, these were all the smartest scientists on the planet. Only problem is, they kept being wrong. Sometimes. This is insane, you fool! I'm a fool because I have more faith in the saints that wrote the Bible?
Yeah, because you just read the words of a bunch of guys that you never met, and you just take it on faith that everything they wrote was true.
And what makes you think what your scientists are writing is any more truer than my saints?
Because there are volumes of proven data, numbers, figures. There are fossil records.
Oh, fossil records. I didn't even think about the fossil records. I guess I'll concede. Oh, wait, well, one more thing before I do, Mr. Reynolds. Have you seen these fossil records?
Have I... Huh?
Have you poured through the data yourself? The numbers, the figures?
Well, no. No.
Oh, interesting. So let me get this straight, Mr. Reynolds. You get your information from a book, written by men you've never met, and you take their words as truth, based on a willingness to believe, a desire to accept, a leap of, dare I say it, faith?
Come on. Look, I mean, I don't even know how I'm supposed to respond to that. Like, come on. That's a false equivalency.
Just answer the question, Mr. Reynolds.
Sure. Yeah. Okay.
I rest my case. Well, that got me. Yeah.
So, that was a very short clip. I did put a link in the description to the full clip, which is about 5 minutes long. I do recommend checking that out, actually. It's a funny clip, but it's also one that makes you think. And elaborate a little bit on why I brought up some of my past in the last video is, again, now take school for example. School has a way of teaching you facts and theories of science mixed in. And while they tell you they are teaching you theories, they don't always teach you other theories. In the meantime, they usually teach you one theory after another that coincide with the previous theories. It's building a perception. Now, I'm not necessarily saying that that perception is wrong. As I mentioned also in my previous video, I lived that perception for quite some time. It was my understanding that that was a perception that's honestly leading me to right here, making these videos. Unfortunately, and a lot of people don't like hearing this, but I can contribute cable television with the same thing. It tends to solidify what school taught. Well, and again, I know a lot of people don't like hearing this, but well, the fact of it is a television tells a vision. You are channeling a program. Now, I'm not going to get into that too much because there's a lot of channels on television, so I'm not necessarily saying turn off your TV. But at the same time, I am telling you that you are receiving people's perception through the television. They don't always say the other side. These are important things to understand while you are perceiving them, at least in my eyes. So I know these things aren't necessarily the most popular things to bring up, or the type of things that most people even like to think about. I've heard many a times, what difference does it make? Or even ignorance is bliss. You're not wrong, but you're not right, depending on your perception. But to give you a little bit of my own perception is, again, as I grew older, I kept busy for much of my life. I was curious about things, but I thought I had those curiosities satisfied by narrowing my search. And what I mean by that is again, I watched a lot of television shows about things. Well, again, you're usually getting a certain side. When I got hurt and I got more time, and I started using YouTube more. Now, there were a lot of channels throughout the years that I'll simply say helped me out quite a bit. A lot of the stuff that I learned, really, I was simply looking at other sides. I can't really sit here and tell you, well, this side's right and this side's wrong, because when push comes to shove, a lot of these things are things that, again, if you look at things hard enough, you can prove and or disprove. And that kind of leaves you somewhere in between on a lot of different subjects. But if nothing else, it opens your mind to other possibilities, which is ultimately what I'm trying to do, at least at the moment. I probably shouldn't quite go to this extent, but there are a lot of YouTubers that offer you a lot of answers. I'm not saying they don't have the answers. I'm simply saying that it's up to your perception on whether you're satisfied with those answers. There's nothing wrong with pushing what you believe, right? But at the same time, if anything, I'm just trying to get people to open their minds to either side. I'm hoping this is making sense. So if you could use even YouTube here as a good tool to start to open your mind. I don't want to say too much about this, but unfortunately YouTube's not what it used to be either. You can't search a lot of the things. I know a lot of YouTubers that I've watched over the years are no longer here. They've gone to other platforms. I'm choosing to use YouTube because it is a popular platform. So hopefully, as I'm quickly learning, I don't have the space to make long videos. I should probably start to close this one out. So let me just say that if you like what I'm trying to do here, hit that like button. If you have any questions for me, or if you like this sort of stuff and you're interested in where you can actually get more answers than just me bringing up questions, throw it down in the comments. I'll get to it. Right now I'm not real busy in that section. So if you can, just help me get the word out there. And, again, subscribe if you like what I'm trying to do here. It would help me out, and maybe people that do need to hear this sort of stuff will get to. So, anyway, I hope you're all doing well, and as usual, take care, guys.